Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dhena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we want to welcome also all our listeners in Radio Krishna Land. Perhaps if there was radios when the Bhagavatam was spoken, there would have been less people at Naimisharanya. But we're doing the real thing here. Thank you all very much. So on the board, because you were chanting no distraction, somebody take care of this. Huh? We'll just go straight into the verse. Please repeat. Yattad karmayam lingam brahmalingam janoriche ekantam avayam shantam tasmai bhagavate namiti yattad karmamayam lingam Brahmalingam Janor Chayet Ekantam Advayam Shantam Tasmai Bhagavate Itnama Iti Yattad Karma Mayam Lingam Brahmalingam Janor Chayet Ekantam Advayam Shantam Tasmai Bhagavate Namiti. Okay. Mataji, Vaishnavis. Brahmalingam janorchayet ekantam abhiyam shantam tasmai bhagavate namiti. Please repeat. Yet, which, tat, that, karmamayam, obtainable by the Vedic ritualistic system. Lingam, the form. Brahmalingam, which makes known the Supreme Brahman. Janaha, a person. Archayet, must worship. Ekantam, who has full faith in the Supreme. Avyayam, non-different. Shantam, peaceful. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, the most powerful. Namaha, our respects. Iti, thus. Translation Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation. And therefore, in one sense, he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Worshipable Deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. Please repeat. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns, speak up loudly, become manifest from him. Jai. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, bravely, vigorously, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Worshipable Deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. Brahmacharis, you should be able to look at the sun and turn it to coolness. You should be able to speak vigorously. The sunlight should pour off you like rain in the rainy season. Fired up. Purport Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word karma mayam, obtainable by the Vedic ritualistic system, is significant. The Vedas say, Swadharma nishta shata janibi pumam virachatam meti. One who strictly follows the principles of Varnashram Dharma for at least 100 births will be rewarded with the post of Lord Brahma. It is also significant that although Lord Brahma is extremely powerful, he never thinks himself one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always knows that he is an eternal servitor of the Lord. Because the Lord and the servant are identical on the spiritual platform, Brahma is herein addressed as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. But if a devotee serves him with full faith, the meaning of all Vedic literature is revealed to him. Therefore, Lord Brahma is called Brahmalinga, which indicates that his entire form consists of Vedic knowledge. Mukam krochi vachalam pangam laite girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurun dinatarinam yat tad karma mayam lingam brahmalingam janor chayet ekantam avyayam shantam tasmai bhagavate nama iti. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies one may attain his position, and because the ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, and therefore in one sense he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the supreme worshipable deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. So, this is a prayer offered by the inhabitants of the islands that circumambulate, that are within Loka mountain range. Now this chapter is entitled The Structure of the Universe. So it is interesting to note that here we see in the Bhagavatam, Srila Vedavyas is describing the structure of the universe not in an impersonal way. The impersonalists just look at matter, which is an impersonal object, devoid of consciousness, and they presume, without any information, but on the basis of their prejudice, that there is no life anywhere else in the world, in the universe. That is based on atheism. If a government constructs a city, do they give inhabitants to that city in just one house? Do you construct a house and just live in one room? Do you construct a universe, if you're the Supreme Lord, and just give life on one planet? Now, if you believe that there is a Supreme Bhagavan, a Supreme Lord, you must understand that he has constructed this fabulous, wonderful universe with vast varieties of living conditions for the vast varieties of living entities. Even on this one planet, we find vast varieties of living entities in the air, in the oceans, on the land, inside the land. We don't find life just in India, nothing in the Middle East, nothing in the Americas, nothing in Australia. We find life everywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes the living entity, Savagata. He goes everywhere. The jiva, the individual soul, pervades the universe and resides throughout the universe. And so therefore, the idea that there is no life on other planets is based on the atheistic idea that is propagated shamelessly in Kali Yuga by these fools and rascals, that life is only on this planet and in this particular condition of environment that we experience on this planet. And therefore, if there is life on other planets, then that life must be using the same physical laws, the same environmental conditions that we experience on this planet. Sri Sri Gaunitai, Sri Guru Parampara, Panchatattva, Krishna Balaram, Radhasham Sundar Lalit Vishaka Shalagram Maharaj, Giri Govardhan, Gomata, Tulsi Maharani, Sadhu Sangha Ki Jai. So this idea is completely foolish. But it is reasonable to the demoniac atheist, because he wants to deny the existence of the Supreme Lord. He is suffering from the first conditioning of the fallen soul, tamishra, rebelliousness, envious to the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Now, Prabhupada in this purport explains that the Vedic literature is revealed, the knowledge in the Vedic literature in all its gamut, in all its range, is revealed to the personality who has full faith in the Supreme Lord. So the veracity of the Vedic knowledge is revealed to the person who is a devotee. We see in Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Guyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam, that this knowledge, what is this knowledge? What is this Raja Vidya? It is the king of knowledge. It is the purest knowledge. It is the sublime aspect of education. And then Krishna explains to Arjuna, Shaka eti, because you are my Shaka, my friend, I am telling you this knowledge. Also in the Gita, Bhaktimam abhijananti, that this Raja Vidya, this transcendental knowledge, is only revealed and understood by the Bhakta. So, Nainam jintanti shastrani, nanam dahati pavaka, na kledyanti apo na shasharti marata. Also, fourth chapter of Gita, it is explained that the soul cannot be cut into pieces by any weapon. It cannot be moistened by water. It cannot be burnt by fire. The material circumstances do not alter the constitution of the soul. The soul is entangled in matter through consciousness under the supervision of the supersoul. The supersoul is within the body with the individual soul, and he is governing the actions of the consciousness. The Supreme Lord has expanded as Vasudeva Shankashan Adiruda and Pradyumna Adiruda. For the purpose of governing the living entities' thinking, feeling, willing, and action. Vasudeva, Shankashan, Pradyumna, Adiruda. They supervise these actions, the psychic actions, thinking, feeling, and willing, and then the physical actions based upon the thinking, feeling and willing, aniruddha. So everything in the material world and everything in the spiritual world rests upon the Supreme Lord. Sutri Mani Gana Eva. And the soul can inhabit multifarious conditions according to the physical body with which it is provided. Now this is called the structure of the universe, this chapter. So we should understand that it is useless to understand the structure of the universe without trying to understand that the universe is structured, the physical dimensions, subtle and gross of the universe, are structured for the karma, the desires of the living entities. So therefore, this is the reason why Vedavyas has included and interwoven the prayers and also the attitudes of the living entities within this material universe. Their multifarious conditions of consciousness and their multifarious conditions of physical action and physical body. So this must be understood, that the universe is created for this purpose, from the point of view of the living entities, to fulfill their desire to enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord. And at the same time, the universe is constructed so that the living entities become frustrated in their attempts to enjoy. Just like we see in a gross way on this planet, the more people try to enjoy, the more they suffer. This is what Prahlad Maharaj says, that as soon as you try to enjoy materially, the conditions of suffering come as part and parcel. And the more you try to suffer, and we see now in Kali Yuga, everyone is taking intoxication, then the more you take intoxication, the more you deplete your bodily reserves, your mental acuity, and you fall into tamagun. And then you have to go to rehab, or you wander naked in the street like a madman. So sense gratification, the Vedas explain, should be regulated, and it should be performed in relationship to the Supreme Lord. It shouldn't be performed in a wild, extreme, undisciplined manner. Rather, it should be done under Vedic directions. We have this material body. We have to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. The Vedas give a format by which these activities, material activities, do not obstruct our spiritual progress by putting us into hellish material conditions. So this is the structure of the universe from the point of view of the living entities. The living entities, who are eternal spirit souls, inhabit various bodies according to the various conditions and environments on the various planets. And they are put in those conditions for the fulfillment of their material desires and the effect of their karma through these material desires. There are various types of divisions of karma. There's karma. That is, karma is according to your varnashram, your guna karma, according to your guna. Then there is vikarma. There is karma which is against that, sinful activity. Then there is akama. That means non-performance of your material duties. Then there is nice karma. Nice karma is activities that bear no material result. That is bhakti. And then there is ugra karma. There is grossly sinful activities. So in this way, the karma of the living entity can be categorized and is categorized by the great sages. So the living entities enter into these material conditions, and in accordance with their desire to enjoy separately, they accrue karma, which can be termed as pap or punya, pious and impious. But ultimately, it is all anartha, unwanted. So how to come to that condition where the living entity, in all the various conditions of life, can fulfill the appetites of the material body in a regulated way and still develop spiritual consciousness? Because the ultimate aim of human life, particularly in this bhumandala and particularly on this planet, is self-realization. Muktir hitavan yata rupaina swarupaina avivastiti. That mukti, what? Liberation from the material energy, that is the ultimate goal. And what is liberation? Liberation in the Bhagavatam is not merging into the oneness of Brahman. Liberation is swarupena avivastiti, to be situated in your eternal spiritual form. That is the ultimate goal of human endeavor, of all living entities, and the material universe is structured in that way. Okay, enjoy your material sense gratification, but learn that it is not ultimately satisfactory. Regulate your material activities. Yad karosi yadanasi yagstadosi dadasiyat. Do them all as an offering unto me. At the same time, shruti katang tanuva manobir. Hear the Bhagavad message. This will awaken your spiritual consciousness, just like light dissipates darkness. Do this, and in that way attain your spiritual form as you arise to bhava bhakti. This is the structure of the universe. This is the structure of the Vedic knowledge, and it is fully exemplified in the Amala Puran, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Paramo nimatsaranam. It is understandable by those who are pure in heart. This is the second verse of the Bhagavatam. So if we understand the Bhagavatam in this way, and we understand the structure of the universe in this manner, what the purpose is, then we can begin to understand the structure of the universe, not just from an atheistic, physical, gross point of view, but seeing the universe as the house, as the temple of all the living entities, whereby they are directed to the Supreme Lord as the ultimate benefit. And this is what is going on here. In the previous verse, the people who are offering these prayers are described as offering these prayers for material facility. Now you may say, what are they offering prayers for material facility? That's a good question. Because you're Bhakta Lok, so you know the goal of human life is to awaken bhakti, nitya siddha Krishna prem, sadhakabanai, shravanadi sudachitte, kirideodai. You know, you have Krishna prem in your heart. You have swarup folded within your soul, as Ramanujacharya explains in his commentary on Vedanta Sutra. The swarup is folded, he's speaking figuratively, within the soul. So you know by Shravanadi, by Navavida Bhakti, the 9 processes of bhakti, your Swarup will arise. Knowledge of Krishna, hearing Bhagavad philosophy, will give you attraction. Attraction to Krishna will condense into attachment to Krishna, bhava, ashakti. And this ashakti will develop into prem. You know this, you're Bhaktilok. So you may think, why in the Bhagavatam, the residents of this particular area in the Bhumandala system, why they're offering prayers to the Supreme Lord for material benefit. Well, what does it say in the Bhagavatam? What is that verse? Akama, mukshakama, sarvakama udharyati, trivrena bhakti yogena, yojate purusham param. This is not karma, this is kama, long K, long A. Akama. If you have no material desire, if you're atmarama, you're self-satisfied in spirituality, you're meditating on Brahman, or you're Brahmavadi, or you're meditating on the Supreme Lord. If you're akama and you have satisfied in this way, read the Atmarama verse. What's that? Atmaramas chamanyo nirgrantha apirukrame. Right? It is explained there, the different types of Atmarama. They are akama. It is explained in that verse that this is proof that the Supreme Lord has transcendental qualities, because he attracts those that are Atmarama, like the 4 Kumaras when they met Vishnu. There was a little fuss with Jai and Vijay, but they met Vishnu and they were attracted to his service by the tulsi and sandalwood, the beautiful aroma, the beautiful visage of the Supreme. They were attracted to the Supreme Lord from their Brahmavadi position. So their example of Atmarama. Then akama, sarvakarma, then the opposite. If you have all material desire, you want dhanam, janam, sundaram, you want money, you want status, social position, profit, adoration, distinction, and then you want sundaram, mundane sex life, opulence, wine, women and song, then the Bhagavatam says, still you should worship Purusham Param. And then mukshakama udharyati. If you want liberation, and we already explained what the Bhagavatam says is liberation. Liberation is not to pop into the Brahman for some short period and then come down to the material world again, devoid of bhakti. No, liberation means to find your Swarup. Then you should worship the Supreme Lord. So if you have no material desire, you're Atmarama, you have all material desire, or you want to find your Swarup, develop your Swarup, and serve Krishna in Prem Bhakti, then you should worship the Supreme Lord. So this principle is the ultimate principle. This is structure of the universe with all the different varieties and all the different bodies that are explained in the Bhagavatam. There is 8,400,000 categories of life in this universe. And there are 400,000 categories of humanoid life in this format. Of course, they don't all look as beautiful as you. But some do look more beautiful. The Vidyadharis, the demigods, they don't have doctors and clinics in that area. There's 400,000 humanoid type. So now just consider, the Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. But there's 400,000 species of human life. What to speak of different categories of non-humanoid shape. So what is 18,000 into 400,000? 22.2 reoccurring. Don't worry, I'm not so smart. I did that yesterday in my mind. But that means that you would need, if you wrote one verse for each of that 400,000 verses, for each of those 400,000 human type, you would need 22.2 plus a little more Bhagavatams. If you were just one verse for each human type. And then 400,000 into 8 million goes how many times? 20 times. So 20 times that. You'd need 400 Bhagavatams, more than almost 500, to describe, if it was just one verse for all the different species, categories of life. We don't use species in the mundane sense that the modern scientists use. The modern scientists say that a species is when a male and female can interact, have intercourse, and produce fertile offspring. That is their definition. But from the Bhagavatam we hear that there are various devatas, human types, and they can produce fertile offspring. Because the Bhagavatam explains that these life forms, they are not arising by chance, chemical combination from the mud. No, they are descending from Lord Brahma to the Prajapatis and so on and so forth. You can study 4th canto. And all these different varieties of life are, as we say, there to facilitate activity in the material world, sense enjoyment. But you, though you're not as beautiful as the Vidyadharis and the demigods, you have got a better body than them. Because this body, though it requires a certain amount of sense enjoyment, is specifically designed for spiritual realization. Krishna is displaying his Bhauma Leela not in Swargalok, but here on this planet. And Lord Chaitanya is appearing on this planet and starting the Sankirtan Yajna. And so throughout the Vedas, at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, and we see in this description in this chapter, we see described that at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, that the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are like the number of waves upon the surface of the ocean. Try to understand this. Yes, we have the Das-avatar, and it comes to a peak with Lord Chaitanya. Krishna is Madhurya Leela, but Adhurya Leela. But all these incarnations are to elevate the living entity to this position. Akarma, Savakama, Mukshakama, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, Yetam mam prapadyante tam staiva bhajami aham. He will provide your material desire. He will satisfy you. But the secret is that now you're doing it in relationship to the Supreme Lord, you will develop realization of the Supreme Lord by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So, now in this hellish Kali Yuga, everyone is being told to enjoy separately from the Supreme Lord. But that is the way to Narak. Here the Bhumandala system is the most gross area on this area, which figuratively is put on the central plane of the universe above the Garbadak ocean, this Rajagun is very prominent. But Rajagun is extending up to Swargaloka and down into the subterranean planets. Above this Bhumandala system is Bhuvarloka, the area or the realm, the loka, as we say. Do not understand the Bhagavatam just in terms of matter. That is the atheistic scientist point of view. The Bhagavatam talks about the universe not just in physical location, but also loka means state of consciousness. So above Bhuvarloka is the plane of the disembodied spirits. They have subtle bodies. There's Pishachas, Pretas, Bhutas, Rakshasas. They may manifest on the gross plane in this, and they may try to possess the weak-minded or those that supplicate their attention. But that is considered, actually, you read teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Rishabdev, and you will see that they are considered higher in a sense because they have no gross material body. And then above them are the Siddhas, Gandhavas, Siddhas, Asuras, and then ultimately the Supreme Lord and the Devas. And they extend up to the realm above Bhuvarloka, which is Devarloka, Swargaloka. It is the realm of the demigods. In the Swargaloka, there's two types. There is the administrative demigods, such as Indra, various Manus, various demigods who supervise aspects of material energy. And then above Swargaloka, there's Mahalok, Jnanalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok. So how are we to understand? Those that perform punya, they go up to Swargaloka, but then Marchalokam Vishanti, they come back down to Rajagun system in the Bhumandala system. This is description of Bhumandala. But Mahalok, Jnanalok, Tapalok, these areas are purely a mixture in various proportions of Sattva Gun. This is where great sages go, who are devoid of gross material desire. For example, Mahalok, you can say that it is 75%. This is estimate, the serenity of Sattva Gun. But 25% Vaikuntha consciousness, Mahalok, Jnanalok. And then you can say 25, 50-50 for Jnanalok. But then the proportion in Tapalok, 25% Sattva Gun, 75% Krishna consciousness. And then in Satyalok, it is purely transcendental, but there is a 5% admixture of the mode of goodness. So the living entities who are Atmarama without material gross desire, they go to these areas and they enter Lord Brahma's realm at the periodic dissolutions, but generally they don't fall under the influence of karma back down to this Bhumandala system, the gross area. And they make progress in their meditations, and eventually when the universe is wound up, they go to the transcendental realm. So what you have is in the Bhumandala system, mode of passion, everyone is building and breaking and arguing and fighting. This is the effect of Tamagun in Kali Yuga. So this Rajagun extends up to Swargaloka, and then in terms of location, but consciousness is the key to understanding. And then this Rajagun goes down to the 7 planetary systems below the Bhumandala system. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Talatala, and Patala. So Patala is the lowest. So as you go down, the mode of passion fades out into the mode of ignorance, into Patalaloka, where everyone is completely immersed in ignorance and suffering, despair. The main hellish condition of these lower regions is that one feels, I'm here forever. And then, of course, there is the Pritaloka, but that is the different realm. That's where the forefathers go. That is not a hellish planet. That is for those that perform the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. So, this is the true structure of the universe. The physical arrangement is in accordance with the consciousness of the living entities. And this is why when Vedavyas describes the universe, he is describing the consciousness as well as the material conditions. And if we study this in this area, in this means, then we will get insight into the purpose of the universe. The purpose of the universe is found in the ultimate goal, the reason. Just like if I wake up one day and on my front lawn I find a UFO and there's nobody in there. I may spend hundreds of lifetimes trying to figure out what is it for. But it has a purpose. The purpose is to go from A to B. So the real understanding of the universe, the structure of the universe, is not to take apart the atoms and molecules and find how they work. You can do that, but the real purpose is found in the ultimate goal of the universe. The universe is constructed in this manner to bring people to the development of their relationship with the Supreme Lord. This is the ultimate. And ultimately, if we want to understand the universe, we have to understand the universe in that manner. But this understanding, and before he describes the layout of the universe, gross, subtle, and conscious-wise, Sukadeva Goswami explains that this description is understandable by those who are self-realized. The material scientists, they read this and they then try to impose their limited understanding of atoms and molecules into this. But Sukadeva Goswami is not describing the universe from the limited, the blinkered vision of an atheistic materialist. He is describing things in the Bhagavatam that are not manifest through the gross senses of this gross body, that are perceivable by subtle means, by intuition. This point is essential. And so those descriptions of subtle realms and subtle conditions, such as Mount Meru, the Mandara Mountains, Loka Loka, which is around all these islands you'll find in the next verses, these are not gross in the sense that they are like rocks and cement and metal that we find in this particular condition of life. They are realms where the living entity, who can live in any condition if he has a suitable body, and they live in these conditions with a suitable body. Just like if we want to temporarily go into the ocean, we put on an adjustment to this material body, right? We take a breathing tank, we wear a rubber suit, we dive into the ocean, and we swim around with the sharks and the dolphins, and other more friendly items. So, we have adjusted the body. So the Supreme Lord, 8,400,000 species of life, He has constructed all these bodies for the soul to enjoy in these various conditions. But we must understand the ultimate goal. And we must, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, we must understand that this is revealed, Hriday say, Sanivishto, Matak Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. This is revealed by the faithful devotee. So, how do you progress in faith? This is the point.